Veterans Day is next Wednesday, and this morning in New Orleans, they're getting a head start honoring our nation's servicemen and women with the grand reopening of the National World War II Museum. NBC News special correspondent Tom Brokaw is there, along with another good friend, actor Tom Hanks. Guys, good morning to both of you.
Good morning, Matt. Well, there is a dazzling new addition to this museum in New Orleans. So we'll show you a little picture of that right now. But we're in the theater, Tom and I are, where last night Mr. Hanks premiered Beyond All Boundaries, which is a smashing film on a large screen about what the World War II experience was like. Tom, I know you've been working on this project for 5 years, but I dare say I think even you were impressed by how well it turned out.
Well, I think it did. It fills up a room, and it does it in more than 3 dimensions. I believe they call it a 4-dimensional experience, but I actually think there's 7 dimensions that are there's time and width and depth and well, let's just say 4 other dimensions that go along with it. I'm not sure how it works, but it is an all-encompassing experience, and you can only see it. This can't play in any other screen anywhere else in the world except here at the Solomon Theater in New Orleans.
Among other things, when you're sitting in the theater and you see the bombing runs and the Battle of the Bulge, you feel the rumble, the bombs go off behind you in the theater, the light flashes that go on here. Well, let me talk to you a moment about your own experience with this museum. And you've been here from the beginning. You made a financial contribution. You came for the opening of it. Playing the role of Captain Miller in Saving Private Ryan, it really did change your life in a lot of ways, didn't it?
Well, you know, Stephen Ambrose, who is the grandfather, godfather, father of this museum, was the main source of research and inspiration for an awful lot of what Saving Private Ryan was. Now, I was an actor, and I'm just looking for some brand of a handhold, a clue, a crack into the a bridge between the screenplay and what we're going to have to do in the course of during the day. And deep inside the notes of citizen soldiers, I found just an anecdote that Stephen Ambrose had discovered, and didn't put it in the big print of the book, but put it back in the back. He said there was a captain that was part of the D-Day experience who would read his letters from his wife once and then tear them up in tiny pieces and then throw them away. And someone asked, well, why are you tearing up those letters? Aren't they precious mementos from home? He says, it doesn't matter what I'm carrying around with me. It matters what's inside my head now. And that was the type of totally human, very idiosyncratic behavior that any actor would look for in order to bring to a job. And the fact that Stephen Ambrose had done that work and presented it in such a tactile manner, it made a substantial impact on me.
Saving Private Ryan helped launch a whole new awareness in this country of World War II.
Yes, it did.
No question about it.
It made a war industry all over again.
Well, but are there lessons still to be learned from World War II beyond just the emotional content of that experience?
I think that what it is that it took it out of the mythic realm of something that happened long ago that is just about iconography and turned it into, again, just human behavior. The World War II was fought by 17-year-old kids, 22-year-old kids in the entire world, woke up every day with sort of a command of try to make the world a little bit better. We all have to make a contribution. And I think it is not hard to make a direct parallel to who we are today. Just 2009 is loaded with many of the same sort of institutionalized trouble and global conflicts that World War II was. A different scale, a different pace, but it still, if you are so inclined, desires attention to be paid by each and every one of us. And that, I believe, is a sort of a emotional connection that certainly Beyond All Boundaries in the National World War II Museum has to make at its core. Otherwise, it's just a building with pictures.
We're here in the theater, but we also have a stage canteen next door. You're looking at pictures inside the museum itself now. One of the things that always strikes me when I come here is that war was so up close and personal. I mean, people were flying in open cockpit airplanes. They could see the enemy face to face wherever they were. And then they came home and put those memories in some kind of a compartment in their mind and then moved on with their lives.
Well, I don't know how would develop a sort of museum for that very fact. I think that what's extraordinary about that generation is not merely that they went off and put their lives on hold for the years 1941 to 1945, but how in the world did they come back in 1957, be having a job, raising a family, and setting up a Christmas tree on, you know, in December, hoping that the kids are going to have a good Christmas. What went through their heads? How did they make that massive adjustment to killing or being killed, and then coming home and getting on with the rest of their lives, one damn thing after another? I think it's an extraordinary experience for them, and a direct relation to what we're expecting our young people and veterans to do today. Veterans Day is a nice day to ponder that.
Well, one of the things that happened to this country as a result of their experience is that they came back much more mature. They'd had training and discipline. They'd seen the realities of the war. They went in as 17-year-olds, but when they came back, they were like 30-year-olds.
They aged quickly, didn't they? And they were all in it together. That was another thing. The thing you always get from veterans is, hey, I just did what everybody else was doing. And they did. They just did they did what everybody else was up to. There was no complaints. Stephen Ambrose used to say there were two sayings during the war. One is, hey, we're all in this together, so stop complaining. And the other one is, hey, don't you know there's a war on? So stop complaining. You can take that to the bank, I think, even in 2009.
Well, I think it goes without saying that Mr. Hanks and I are unabashed, enthusiastic supporters of this museum and all that it means. And we hope a lot of people will come here and see the film and go through the museum and learn from it. Tom, thanks.
Every hour on the hour.
Every hour on. He's going to be here playing. Back to you, Matt.
Tom and Tom, thank you both very much. And by the way,